Hello, good evening, and good afternoon, may I say, and welcome. Um, we're just waiting for Susan. Um, can you tell her to go back out and come back in again, please? Um, I'm just waiting for Susan Lee to come in, and then we will speak to her. Hope everybody is all right and doing okay. We shouldn't be long now. She should be in shortly. So please share, guys. When you can't believe what they see in you. That's today's title with Susan Lee. When you can't believe what they see in you. Mm. Please share, guys. We're just Susan Lee's backstage. We're just trying to get her in. Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello. Hello there. How are you?
I'm
I'm
okay.
okay. Good.
We're
We're
live, I'm
live, I'm
afraid.
afraid. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
sorry
sorry
about
about
today
today
because of
because of
the
the
timing.
timing.
But I've
But
got
I've got
a
a
meeting that I
meeting
need
that
to
I need
go
to
to
go to
tonight. It's
tonight.
very
Very
important.
important. That's okay. That's okay.
Today's
Today's
title,
title,
and
and
it says,
it says,
when you
"When you
can't
can't
believe what
believe
they
what they
see.
see." Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we're talking really today about how we kind of almost don't think about ourselves as having particular skills or competencies, and it's very easy to take what we do without even thinking about it, to take what we do, what we know, what we're good at, without really any recognition. You know, you and all your broadcasting skills, you may not think about them as being anything special, but there's loads of people who have a great desire to be as good as you are with what you do, or likewise, many of us cooking a meal or being good with
Susan,
tech or whatever.
Susan,
Susan,
I'm not
I'm
that
not
good,
that good,
but thank
but
you.
thank you. Well, it is an easy thing to forget how good we are at certain things, you know, whether we've got a flair for working with children or animals or baking, cooking or DIY or gardening, whatever it might be. We might be really good at things that other people wish they were good at, and we don't even think about it particularly. We just take it as, oh, well, that's just me, that's just the way I am, that's just something I do, you know? And it can be very easy to almost discount those things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got a
I've got a
meet.
meet.
I've got a
I've got a
meeting
meeting
tonight,
tonight,
and
and
I've been
I've been
asked to
asked to
join a
join a
committee
committee
where
where
there's
there's
someone
someone
applies
applies
like a
like a
bridge,
bridge,
and we've
and
got to
we've
go
got to
into
go
a
to a
community
community
centre
centre
and put
and
all
put
the
all the
food in
food
for
in
the
for the
homeless
homeless
people
people,
or
or
people
people
who
who
is
is
on
on
low
low
income, so
income,
they
so
can
they
come
can come
along
along
and help
and help
themselves.
themselves.
So
So
that's where
that's
I've
where
got
I've
to
got to
go
go
tonight.
tonight.
I'm
I'm
afraid. So
afraid.
I'm
So
so sorry about
sorry
that.
about that.
But
It's
the
okay.
trouble is,
Trouble is, trouble
is
is
a lot
a
of
lot of
people
people
put us
put us
down, though,
down,
don't they?
don't
They
they? They
put
put
people down
people
when they're
down when they're
trying to
trying
do
to do
good.
good. Possibly, and I wonder if people do that. They may be suspicious of somebody else's motives. They may be sort of regretful that they're not doing it themselves. They can't be bothered to make the effort themselves, but don't think anybody else should. There can be lots of reasons, jealousy, all sorts of different things where people put other people down, and it's often that they can't be bothered to do it themselves. They're perhaps not prepared to make the effort, but they also think nobody else should either. And that can be a frustration if you're quietly going about your business, just doing your best, and other people are having a go at you for it. But I mean, we have to learn to rise above that, I suppose. And that's the thing. And in situations like when we can't believe what other people see in us, it can be that perhaps other people at work look at us as being a good manager. We don't think we do particularly, or we may be good at coaching or nurturing or teaching people new skills or making a newcomer feel comfortable. We may have all those natural skills that we are good at. We don't particularly think about them. And it may be that other people acknowledge that, or it may be that other people want to put us down for it and be awful and potentially bitch about it or be negative about it or be cruel to us. So there can be all sorts of dynamics going on in these situations.
Does that work in relationships too?
It can do. I mean, there's something called gaslighting. And what that means is that somebody may be good at something and the other person wants to be in control. So some relationships, there are power struggles going on, there's manipulation going on, one person wants to control another, and it can be that somebody who's good at something, they may get put down by their partner, and they may be, you don't need to do that, or you don't need to think about that, or you don't need to learn that, or, why are you spending so much time at work? Don't bother, I'll support us. There can be lots of ways that people can put their partner down in a bid to boost their own ego, to make themselves feel more important, to make the other person become more dependent on them. And that's a very negative dynamic, but it's not every day, but there are elements of that in some relationships, and in extreme situations it can become a very abusive relationship where one person gets their seniority, their control, through completely belittling the other person.
But many people don't want to see the kids side of us, do they?
Many people don't what, sorry?
They don't want to see the kid goodness or something, do they?
Possibly, and you have to wonder why that is. But at the end of the day, the person who is being treated badly has to start to find their voice, has to start perhaps understanding what's going on, has to perhaps realise what's happening to them, and learn to speak up, or learn to move away, or learn to find outside interests that encourage them to become confident and perhaps a bit more independent and a bit more believing in themselves and a bit more positive about all of that.
How about socially then?
Well, socially, you may have situations where you're looking at other people and seeing them as better than you. They may have loads of money, they may have nice clothes, they may have a really super fit body and be trim and tanned and gorgeous, They may have loads of friends. We may look at them and wonder, why the heck are these people friends with me? What do they see in me? What is it about me? And we can almost lose our confidence if we're allowing ourselves to be affected so much by other people and what they have and what we see in them. But there's also a sense that even super rich people have their own troubles. Even fabulously gorgeous people will have their own insecurities and lack of confidence issues. So sometimes we just have to accept that people like me for who I am. People like me, and let me just relax and go with the flow with that. So we don't have to match people for income stream or for body mass index or for gorgeousness or whatever it might be. We can learn to say, okay, I have something that's unique and special about me that I can bring to the table, just like these other people do. And one quality or attribute is no better than another. It's just different.
I believe that we all got gifts.
Absolutely, so do I. Very much so.
We just got to kind of like find them, then use them.
Yeah, and we've also got to perhaps relax and not treat every situation as a competition. We're not weighing up, how much do you earn? Oh, I earn this, so hang on, let me compensate for that. The truth is, different people bring different things to any group. So some people might be the sociable one who's chatty. Well, those people actually do need an audience. So if everybody in a group was a talkative person, nobody would be listened to. Nobody would have a mini stage to be on. So it's important that we appreciate that different people bring different things to each interaction. And it may be gorgeous that one person is chatty and the other person is quieter, or that one person is an academic and the other brings humour and fun and a light touch to it. The academic may be envied by the fun person, but the fun person might, the academic may also be thinking, I wish I was lighter and more fun and not so serious. So there can be all sorts of qualities that different people bring, and it's good to have a mix of all of those different things.
What do people expect from us?
From us?
Yeah.
I think most people are happy being acknowledged. I think most people are happy being respected. I think most people are happy being given attention and time and being interested and being allowed to contribute their own particular skill sets, their own particular qualities and attributes. When we're in a relationship, we're looking to learn about, if we meet somebody new, we're looking to learn about them. What are you interested in? Let's engage, let's talk, let's share, let's find out about each other and build a relationship. So it isn't always about matching like for like or equal for equal. As I say, a highly intelligent, educated person might not want to have somebody very serious and studious and academic. They may want somebody who's fun and playful and, doesn't take life too seriously. And those things can be a nice counterbalance for each other. And that's okay. It oils the wheels and opposites attract. It doesn't always have to be the same. Like attracts like.
Yeah. Do we have to be same as everybody else?
I suppose it depends on the situation that you're in. I mean, technically, obviously, the answer is no, because we're not the same as everybody else. But there are certain situations where certain qualities, attributes, traits, qualifications are important. So there would be certain situations where a person has to fit in. So you don't want to rebel, perhaps necessarily joining the police force, or you don't want to, different things are important in different scenarios depending on what's actually going on. And so, yeah, it's great that different people have skills, qualities, education, knowledge, experiences that they can bring to a situation, and those things might be unique and special. Somebody who's very well travelled, has gone around the world backpacking, may be really useful in a travel situation, a travel company. But it's also important that you need the other skills. You might need somebody who's good at accounting, somebody who's good at office management, somebody who's good at social media. So we need all these different things to make a cohesive situation, whether it be business or in a family or in a social group or whatever. We don't want everybody who is shouting out loud, but we might want one or two people who are good at shouting, depending on what the situation is. So we don't necessarily all need to be the same as each other, but we probably need to have people who are able to rub along and respect each other and be able to contribute in a constructive way in a situation and respect each other's viewpoints and differences too.
I suppose that comes down to religion too. If someone's a Christian or Buddhist or whatever, we've got respect there, haven't we?
Absolutely. And again, a lot of wars are fought about these sorts of things where people don't necessarily agree, but take disagreement to another level of complete dissent, complete argument, row, war even, So being able to listen and discuss things is important. And actually, in truth, if we do listen to each other with respect, we can perhaps reinforce our own views because we road test them and come back thinking, yes, we are on the right lines. Or we maybe, hopefully, learn another layer of insight, another layer of tolerance, another layer of investment and interest. It's important to do that. We test our beliefs, but we also become firmer in them if we're testing them properly.
What a consider a loner. I was a bit of a loner at school, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, loners have to mix with the world at times, and they may just dash into a shop, get what they want and run out again, but loners will often benefit a little bit from maybe having a chat, improving their social skills, improving their ability to mix and meet with other people, get over their own negativity or hesitancy or lack of confidence. And again, this is down to what do people see in us. If we are a loner, we can perhaps be very self-contained and we don't really care what people see in us. We don't care what people think about us. But it's often nice to have some people who value us and perhaps share the time of day and maybe occasionally have a coffee with or something. But in order to do that, we have to be reasonably pleasant, reasonably sociable, reasonably prepared to smile and make eye contact and engage with others. And these are skills that we can lose, but the skills that we can reinstate too, where we just practice a bit, saying some, chatting to somebody at the counter in the supermarket and saying, what do you think of this? Or have you tried that? Just a few words can help us grow in confidence and in social skills a little bit. And they're important skills to have and nurture and keep intact, really.
Are you worried about what people think of you?
I guard my reputation. So as a therapist, it's important that I have, most of my clients are recommendations. So having a good reputation is important, but I'm not unduly bothered if on a personal level people don't like me. I've worked through a lot of that and I understand that not everybody will like me. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think the big thing is, well, the big thing is to accept that so long as people who, if they don't like me, are polite. Because beyond that, not everybody I come across is in my social circle. I've just been out for lunch with half a dozen friends. Now, we get on well, but we don't necessarily see each other every day. And so getting on well enough so we can chat and be friendly and like each other, I would say those people are friends. But in other situations, if you meet somebody when you're out for a walk and you see them regularly and you share a few words, being pleasant and not really necessarily knowing. Most times, none of us really know what other people think about us. The only time we know what people think about us is if they're exceptionally effusive or if they're particularly rude or negative. And so in most cases, most people are happy to rub along okay, and very few people like confrontation. Most people are happy to be polite and friendly enough and get on well enough, and that's okay. That oils the wheels of humanity, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, of course it does, yeah. When you kind of like in your job as a therapist, do you find sometimes it's so difficult to kind of like get on the same wavelength as your client?
No, because my training means I ask a lot of neutral questions. So a lot of my job is about asking questions, but being careful that I'm not asking judgmental questions. So, a lot of my questions and a lot of my interaction with my clients at the beginning is very much about, and how was that for you? And how do you feel about that? And tell me more about that. So, there's a lot of questioning. There's a lot of interaction that is very much about encouraging them to speak, encouraging them to think about why they've come to see me. So to a large extent, a therapy session is not about the therapist. It's about the person that they're working with and encouraging them to think and get in touch with what's going on within them and why they feel they need help and what their particular issues and concerns are. So is it, about stress? Is it about lack of confidence? Is it about relationship issues? Is it about expectations of life? And asking questions that encourage a client to think about that, to look into what's going on with them, to delve deep and sort of come to terms or gain insights into why they are the way they are and what's causing them distress or upset is a way forward. So it's not particularly, it shouldn't be about the therapist. It should, the therapist is supposed to be sort of like a conduit, a trigger to a facilitator to help them think about themselves, really.
No, it was just sometimes I was looking at about like fear of rejection and the criticism, you know what I mean?
As a therapist? For the therapist, you mean, or for the client? No, because it's not such a personal... Yes, it's very personal, but it's not such an... that kind of rejection, all that kind of thing is more about ego. And I would suggest that as a therapist, you're not really engaging on that level. You're not really thinking about is it? I mean, I never think, is this client going to like me? I just, and also, I guess in a way, being empathic and interesting and interested and paying somebody a lot of attention, they automatically warm to you. And as they speak, you are able to gain better insight and gain better ability to be supportive and provide the right level of support.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes, though,
Sometimes,
as well, we in our
in our
daily
daily
life,
life,
we are
we are
afraid of
afraid of
rejection
rejection
sometimes,
sometimes,
aren't we?
don't we?
Of course. I mean, one of the things we've not talked about is families. I mean, in families, if you have a family where, three or four of the members of the family, perhaps mum and dad and one or two kids, are very academic, and another one is not, is more of a sporty person, is more of an arty person, they may feel like the black sheep, or they may feel rejected, or they may feel they don't fit in. Or if you've got somebody who's struggling with their sexuality and doesn't really know how they feel, or perhaps is apprehensive about coming out as gay, maybe that still happens in some families, in some cultures even, then rejection and being accepted and being acceptable can be huge. And so for some people there is an awful lot of concern about, how will I be received? Will I still be loved? Will I still be accepted or acceptable? And it's difficult. We have to learn to nurture our tribe around us that perhaps consists of people who have a similar wavelength to us, who have a similar viewpoint to us, and that way we might gain our sense of belonging, but perhaps not necessarily even within the family or within our social group.
And also, probably accepting them positive praise remarks.
Yeah. I mean, a huge thing about giving people compliments is about, or praise, whether it's a boss at work or whatever, is to give really unconditional support. If I say to somebody, if I say to a client, that's really great, why don't you do that more often? That's not as positive as saying, that's really great, well done. If we give unconditional praise, unconditional support, we're not attaching riders to it. We're saying, well done you, that was fantastic. But if we say, well done, try again, keep the good work up, I hope you manage it again tomorrow, there's it's almost like giving with one hand and taking away with the other. And so learning to be supportive, learning to be generous, learning to be giving in a very unconditional way, there's no conditions attached, is very important in terms of acceptance, in terms of helping people feel good about themselves, in terms of people feeling like they belong.
Yeah. And also a smile and a thank you.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's all that's required, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's basic good manners, but a lot of people don't do it. Yes. And so, yes, appreciating people again helps people feel, recognise that they belong, that they are doing a good job, and that people are seeing them as they are and are appreciating them for what they've done. Absolutely.
Brilliant. That was Susan Lee, and if you want to have a look at her Facebook website, then all the details will be on our website later on. Thank you very much, Susan.
My pleasure.
Just stay there.